Hello, my name's Ruth CRONEY and I'm from Roche Pharma Research and Early Development based in the UK. And I'm here to talk about integrating the person living with Alzheimer's disease and care partners' perspective into AD clinical trials. And here are my disclosures and the disclosures of the co-authors. When we started thinking about an early phase trial in Alzheimer's, we had a real curiosity. We really wanted to understand what would be the drivers and the barriers of participants that may be interested in joining such a trial. And from that, we really wanted to gather some insights from our AD community. So we initially reached out to our caring group, and caring is an internal Roche community open to all employees, and it's for anybody who is living with a condition or is caring for somebody with a condition. So we reached out to the caring AD community and asked them for insights when planning our Pacific protocol. And what we heard was actually really impactful. Specifically, more so with early phase clinical development, we really need to value people living with Alzheimer's as partners, not just patients. There was, with our trial, going to be a lot of burden that was recognised. There would be a lot of time investment with a lot of visits over a short period of time and with some invasive procedures. And when talking to the community, it was clear that when trying to present this information, there was a real feeling of being overwhelmed. And clearly that would lead to difficulty in understanding what we were actually trying to do with our study. So we really understood that we would have to produce some very clear messages and rationale for the trial. And also the reason why we were having to conduct such particular procedures and why some of them were so invasive, so that people could really, we could hear their concerns and we could really then explain those reasons clearly. This really then helped us design on a real-time basis, because we were gathering this feedback as we were developing the protocol, so that the feedback could be directly taken into our study design. These learnings also were shared internally, but we also used these learnings to share externally, and they became the pillars of our site training and our site onboarding for the startup of the trial. We heard that there is a much greater need for care partner support. You know, the time commitment from care partners goes beyond the study visit. When we were looking at a protocol and looking at a schedule of assessments, that just looking at a single point in time. But really what we heard from a care partner's perspective is the real emotional and mental and physical preparation required before any visit. If a family is going to a new environment, there can be quite a lot of anxiety, lots of questions, and care partners need to be prepared to be able to answer those questions. Then obviously there's a study visit and can be quite a long day at clinic. And then the care partner is then faced with managing the effects of the exhaustion, the travel home, and then often if they've experienced quite an anxious day, that can lead to a very restless night. So we really need to understand and communicate the crucial role of care partners within our trials, and to really understand the importance of the care partner's well-being and what their specific needs are, and build in holistic solutions to support them. And that if these are unmet, this could really impact the participation of people living with Alzheimer's in our clinical trials. So although the focus was initially on an early development trial, this actually facilitated a much broader engagement with the community. And the FAST Council was developed, and the FAST Council is a global group of 13 patient advisory groups plus Roche team members. And they meet twice a year, and the council really comes together to understand barriers that exist in recruitment and retention of participants in Alzheimer's clinical trials. And this gives us a forum to co-create solutions on these shared in areas of interest. And really, the findings of this engagement and the dialogue that we've had with the AD community have been the pillars to co-creating our AD clinical trials guidebook. So this guidebook is a real first-of-kind initiative between pharma and the wider AD community. It's committed to delivering tangible solutions to the community with a standard approach to how we should integrate people living with Alzheimer's and their partners into our clinical development plans. And this is a holistic approach, so we wanted to build it so it's applicable to all studies, not just early but late phase as well. And this guidance really takes into considerations and the views of people living with Alzheimer's, the care partners, the patient organisations, with a goal to really improve our clinical trial design, their outcomes, and our participants' trial experience. This guidebook is a really a navigation of how you can work with people living with Alzheimer's before you start planning your trial, when you're actually designing your clinical trial, when you're recruiting and how you can improve retention in your clinical trial, and also after your clinical trial and when the trial is finished or when participants finish their trial experience. So within Roche, this guidebook is really internally impacting how we cross-functionally are defining our clinical development strategies. We are ensuring the teams that are designing participant-centric and inclusive protocols first time round, therefore reducing the need for multiple protocol amendments and the realization that there are barriers in the way and we have to make changes to our study design. We want to get it right first time. It also gives us the opportunity to build partnership with the community by building upon previous interactions so that this is an iterative process and we're not just overburdening the community with duplication of requests. We also wanted to use this guidebook to raise awareness to our sites, so what people living with Alzheimer's and their care partners may be looking for in terms of support at the sites level, and so that we can ensure that the sites are aware of this and have that support available. We also wanted to be able to act quickly and proactively to the community needs, and this platform hopefully gives us that. So in fact, this clinical trials guidebook is a living organic document. It continues to evolve in response to the further learnings and insights from the participant experience. We are working towards a full circle holistic approach whereby we have incorporated interviews at the end of the study participation so that when participants and their care partners complete their study, we then get some immediate information back from them with regard to their experience so that we can improve and ensure that the solutions that we have implemented have actually done what we hoped they would do and actually benefited our participants in the right way. This project really highlighted the importance of inclusive and early collaboration with the AD community, and we hope that this resource can be utilised mutually across industry and the patient community when planning clinical trials. During Alzheimer's Europe 2022, Roche is launching in conjunction with the FAST Council a detailed report from the guidebook, which is designed to make what we've learned and freely available for all. So anybody can learn and use this information to improve the experience of study participants and their care partners. So in summary, this guidebook was developed from an early partnership with the AD community with the objective to gather insights into clinical trial population. It's really designed to help improve clinical trial outcomes, the design of our trials, and the participants and their caregivers' experience. It is today impacting how Roche cross-functionally define our clinical development strategies, and we want to continue this collaboration. We are building in interviews, as I said, at the end of our study participation, which will ultimately increase the scope of our clinical trials guidebook to ensure that people living with Alzheimer's input is taken into account every step of the way of the clinical trial process. So it just finally leaves me to thank all the people living with Alzheimer's and their care partners and the patient organisations that supported us through the development of this clinical trials guidebook. And thank you.